Happy Friday and welcome, Boss Up family. We have an exciting show planned for you tonight. We are the House of Hope Atlanta, presented by Hope TV. Our pastor is Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr., and we believe that life with God is better in every way, every day. Listen, if you're just joining us, I need you to share this episode on all of your social media platforms so that some of your friends, people you're connected with, can enjoy this great content. We're talking about time management tonight, and that's something that all bosses can stand to learn more about. And we have two amazing guests with us. We have NL Star and Crystal Jakes. So I'm going to start out by introducing our lady on Boss Up tonight first. Crystal Jakes is a native of Inglewood, California, who attended Grambling State University. And after making the decision to leave corporate America, she joined her husband in entrepreneurship. And upon celebrating 25 years in business as entrepreneurs, her and her husband were recognized for employing, listen to this, over 32,000 people. Will you join me, Boss Up family, in welcoming the one and only Crystal Jakes?
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the invite. I am excited to be here today, and let's do this.
Let's do this. We're excited that you chose to join us. In addition to Crystal Jakes, we have NL Star. He's a performing artist, a writer, a director, producer who constantly looks to the hills because he knows that's where his help comes from. His directing credits include such short films as Dap Paxton's What If and Denise Black's Things Not Forgotten. He has also co-produced the award-winning short film Unconditional, which focused on the challenges of LGBTQ youth. Will you join me, Boss Up family, in welcoming the one and only NL Star? Say hello to everybody.
Hey, hello, everybody. Thanks for the invite. Glad to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
So am I. Welcome, welcome. If you're just joining us, we want you to share this video on all of your social media platforms so that your friends can acquire tips on how to manage their time more wisely and how to boss up. Let's talk. So here on Boss Up, we want to get to know our guest and we want to get to know your story. So I want to start with you, Crystal. Tell us a little bit about your business and how you got into it. Did you choose entrepreneurship or did entrepreneurship choose you?
I chose entrepreneurship via my husband. As you mentioned in the intro, I was in corporate America as a business analyst and project manager. And my husband was already an entrepreneur, franchise owner. And eventually he just decided, we had a conversation, and it was like, you're doing these things for the man or people outside of our home when we can use those same skills in our family business. And so with we had a child that I had to take to daycare, and I didn't always like that. So opportunity for entrepreneurship had its advantages at that time for me. And it just made sense to kind of bring my skills home and to make them work for us as a family.
I love it. So it sounds like to me that entrepreneurship kind of chose you, would you say?
A little bit of both.
It was
Yes.
and you had a choice.
Yes.
It asked you about it, but it also fit with your life space and where you were, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So NL Star, Nick, talk to us a little bit about you. Did you choose entrepreneurship or did entrepreneurship kind of knock you off, or rather not knock you off your feet, but did it run into you and say, it's time?
It definitely chose me because I was running around trying to do what I thought I wanted to do. And I was tired of getting in trouble all the time. I've
Wait a
always
minute,
went against the grain.
wait a minute,
I
let's stop
always
right
went,
there.
yeah.
We talking about,
I,
wait a minute, you got to
yeah.
unpack that. What kind of trouble?
Okay.
Was it good trouble? Was it good trouble?
Oh, I would say yes, because I was doing what I thought was right, but
Mm,
everybody don't always see it that way. I'm retired military, and I went into the education field. I was a teacher for about 15 years in the school system, Gwinnett County and Cobb County, Walton County. And I kept having to switch counties because I was that teacher that I loved the children, but the big house, I didn't always agree with the way they ran things. And so my style was a lot of people called it unorthodox. I tend to be very real with my kids, and I love my children. And that's why I say it chose me. So after I was tired of fighting all the time to do what I want to do, how I wanted to do it, I had a very intelligent wife that told me about maybe 15 years ago, forget these people, just do it yourself. And she got behind me, supported me, and that's where Young Voices United came from. I started teaching out of my own little storefront, and it just grew from there.
I love it. I love it because what I hear you saying is that you wanted to give more, and that there was a certain way that you wanted to give back, and that by starting
Correct.
your own business, you're able to give back with no limits. We call it loving without limit. And
There
so
you
I'm
go.
really excited about your journey. And tell us a little bit more, because we know that kids nowadays are not like we were when we were
Mm-mm.
younger.
Oh,
The way
not
they
at all.
process, the way they move in the world, their ways of being are different. So was it an easy transition? You know, we've been talking a lot about pivot. Was it an easy transition or was it hard for you, Nick? Tell us about that.
Being myself was very easy because I took that to the classroom. Being able to do it on my own terms, the way I wanted to do it, um, was great. Except for, people get comfortable when they get in that job mode, or whether it's corporate, education. Anytime you work for somebody else and you're dependent on a check, then you kind of do things the way they want you to do it, and you try to, or you hold yourself back from things that you might want to do because you've been dependent on that check and you want to eat. When you step out there and you believe in God, you believe in your support system, and you believe in what you're doing, number one, if you really believe you have something to offer and you step out on that faith, and you know it's right in your heart, you know what you're doing. You're not hurting anybody. You're trying to give back. It was given to me. Uh, I'm an actor. All that I do, I've never been to school for. I never taught it. God gave that to me, and He put me in situations where I was able to learn and grow. And so once I wanted to do it, well, didn't even want to do it on my own. Just got tired of fighting the system. And it took somebody to say, hey, look, stop fighting those people. Go out there and do it yourself. And so that's what worked for me. And been out here
So
ever since. Never look back.
yes, I mean, hearing both of your stories, the word that comes to mind is courage. It takes a lot of courage to step out on your own and start your own business. And so I want to kind of press you guys a little bit because Brene Brown, I read a lot of her. She says if you're going to dare greatly, you're going to get your butt kicked. So in business and in entrepreneurship, you get your butt kicked sometimes.
Oh,
So I
yes.
want to start with you, Crystal. What has been one of the greatest challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur?
Ooh, maybe the preconceived notions that people have. I face that a lot. Just people look at you, the way you carry yourself, and because you have the title of entrepreneur, they assume everything is great. You're making all the money. You don't have no issues. But they don't see the back end. They don't see when people don't show up, you got to show up regardless. They don't see that I might not get a paycheck because I'm making sure you got a paycheck. They don't see that resources can sometimes run short, but they don't see that part because they know that their check is always on time, the utilities are always on, just different things. It's just the preconceived notions that people have just because you have the title of entrepreneur, you know?
Listen,
So that,
if you
that's been,
just
that was hard.
thank you. If you're just joining us, I got to stop right here because you guys are sharing so much wisdom. I have to talk to our audience again and say, if you're just joining us, we need you to share this video on all of your social media platforms. We welcome you to Boss Up on Hope TV, and we hope that something that is said will encourage and empower you. Now, NL Star, Nick, I want to know, is there anything you would add to what Crystal has said about challenges, or is there a unique challenge that you've endured that you want to talk about?
I'll piggyback on what she said, but something that's unique in my situation, or I would say that it's probably not. Being the skin that we walk in, we have. Let me talk about my people, and I do love my people,
Come on.
but we always looking for the hookup. We always looking for, oh come on, bro, you can, bro, you know, come on, and a lot of times it's like, okay, you want to help, but you still have a family to feed and you still giving a service, you still providing something that's just as good as anybody else. But because of the skin we walk in, we looked at different a lot. And I'll say, for example, Young Voices United is a performing arts school where we, in the neighborhoods that we target, and we don't really target anybody's welcome, but I noticed a lot of kids come to me who look like me, who can't afford to take lessons down at the Fox or the Alliance or these places where these big names, where they charge all this crazy money. For us, it's always been a ministry. So we never charged any big money. We always kept it, and we probably have the same rates now that we had back when we started 15 years ago. Same rates, nothing's changed, haven't, none of that. But there's always people still trying to, oh, come on, man, is the blood that much? Because of the way I look or the skin I'm in. Then once they've been there for a while, or they see what my kids do, or they see even my adults perform very well, then they get the respect, then they understand. But you first have to get past that. This is brother doing that. This is bootleg. Because of the skin I'm in, don't make what I do bootleg. I'm just as good as anybody.
Whoa,
and I'll put my
whoa.
kids against any of them.
Look, I had to stop. I got to stop you. That's tweetable. I need all of our viewers. I need you to write that down. Just because of the skin I'm in doesn't mean I'm bootleg. My outfit has nothing to do with the product that I produce. I love this. You said something then. Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's really interesting to me how we'll get kids who first come in, they check it out, and like I said, I started in a little storefront, and people will come in, and we had a village. My instructor, a young man, dance instructor, Kendrick Love, he dedicated himself to dance, and if you see any of his children dance, that's a Kendrick Love child. Or my wife, Princess, she teaches voice. She take kids to come in who want to sing, and if it's just not their ministry, she's honest and tell them, that's not your ministry, baby. But this is what I can do for you. We meet you where you're at, and we take your instrument that God gave you, and we try to embellish and enhance that. So some people come in and they think that you're supposed to overnight turn into Mariah Carey or these great stars, but with us, they understand that it's work. A lot of times we will mask the performance, we will mask that into life skills. We're really teaching life skills, but we mask it in performing arts. And so a lot of people didn't want to be around, okay, well, I'm supposed to be learning this, but you're teaching me that. And then those who stick around and they go to those same auditions with kids. And we never lost many kids. All of our kids who came and tried it, they end up staying. Mom or dad try to take them someplace else. They'll get tired of doing all that extra money and still not making no auditions. So they always end up coming back to us. And we don't go na. We know what's going on and we do understand it. But you can't judge a book by the cover. And if you're looking at a book and because that book looks raggedy or beat up or torn up, you can't say, okay, that knowledge is still in that book. The knowledge is still there. The work is still there. It's what you apply to that that's going to make the difference.
Nick, I cannot overstate how what you are sharing is resonating with me in such a deep way because I'm a product of performing arts. I'm one of those kids that was kind of shy, but being in a
Right.
play helped me to learn how to articulate myself and develop confidence. And I really do believe that you are on to something. If we want to end systemic poverty and systemic racism in our community, it starts with educating our young people and instilling a
Yes.
sense of self-worth in them. So your work is so needed, especially in the time that we're living in. So, Crystal,
And
it's
that's
on
why we
you.
call it, yeah, that's why we call it Young Voices United, because it's the young people getting together, that all their those young voices getting together and making a sound, and it's important. If we
Yeah,
don't give them a place to give that voice, then who else going to give them that opportunity?
Right.
come on.
And I'm talking about us as a
So,
community.
yes. So Crystal, jump in right there. How does your work become a transforming agent in our community? How do you use, because you guys employed over 30,000 people. That's major. I'm not sure
Right.
about the demographics, but talk to me about that.
Well, at the time, our stores were primarily in our communities. And so we took that as an opportunity, the people that kind of assigned those locations thought that they were doing something by making us be in the hood, but we took it as an opportunity to help our own. And we gave back to those communities. We employed our own. We taught them. Most of those kids, it was their first job. And of that 32,000, it was primarily people that looked like us. And a lot of those folks now, if we run into them as adults, that you were my first job, thank you so much for the
Yes.
opportunity. And it just feels good because and until we were recognized for that 32,000, we had no idea it was actually that many. But then when you look back how we were sponsoring teams, we were able to sponsor teams because our places were in the community and people respected us because we did give back to the communities that we were in. So it's always been more about what was on the surface. It was about kingdom building, and it took on a kind of a life of its own with that because it was a cycle that we got into. Is like people supported us and we supported them as well. So it's definitely, it takes a village because we can't do it on our own. We're all in this together. And if we don't help those coming up under us, then who's going to help them? We got to help our own.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know you guys a little bit better at this point in the show. So now I want to shift to something that both of you have been talking about the whole time. And that's the fact that you have to do the work.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
wants everybody wants effortless victory.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make it as an entrepreneur, you got to do the work. So let me engage you both on our topic for tonight. Now that we know you a little bit, time management. What do you
Mm.
do when the work is bigger than the work day? I want to start with you, Nick. Give us some pointers because we're struggling out here. Every time we end the day, when we end the day, we're trying to figure out where did the day go. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are watching right now and professionals who are watching who are saying, I don't have enough time? What do you have for us? What can you say to us about that?
The biggest thing I learned, and that was me, trying to do everything myself. The biggest word that helped me out was delegate.
Mm-hmm.
If
Come on.
you care enough to make a team and you're making that person part of your team, part of your village, then you still keeping all the knowledge to yourself, you doing everything yourself makes no sense. They grow if you let them grow. Share what you know. Delegate some jobs out to the people on your team. And if everybody's doing their job, you find that you have more time to do what it is you need to do. And your time is
Absolutely.
better spent. You can focus. I was able to focus more on the lessons I taught my students when I didn't try to dance, and I don't know how to dance, or I didn't try to sing, and I cannot sing. I gave that to some people who knew how to do it, gave them their own class time, and trusted them to follow the mission. You know, you have a mission statement. Any entrepreneur, one of the first things you put together is your mission statement. And that team you bring in, before you delegate or give them anything, you make sure they understand and know what your mission statement is, what it is you're trying to achieve.
I love it. I love it. Delegating, I think, is a lifeline for entrepreneurs. Delegating and not dumping. And I hear you talk
Right.
Yes.
about delegating versus dumping. Dumping is when we get overwhelmed and we say, do this with no instructions, no training, no equipping. But it sounds like to me that you've developed this skill of being able to move in areas where you're proficient and getting a team around you that can do the things that you can't or that you don't have time to do.
Right.
So that's
Mhm.
practical advice for entrepreneurs and professionals. Crystal, jump in. Tell us how to get our time back.
Honestly, I totally agree with Nick. But one thing I would also add is for entrepreneurs to know is that you don't have a typical work day. It's not 9 to 5. It is important to carve out some time to make a balance, but it's not always that easy. Um, you could be sitting at dinner, and I used to kind of put, okay, dinner time is time out, no business talk. You know, certain times a day, we're not talking about business, period. Don't even, but you can't tell your mind when to think something. I could be at dinner when I said no business talk and have an idea, and I got to talk about it right then because it's there. So it's kind of like you have to know that it's not a typical 9 to 5, and you just got to roll with it, especially if the passion is there. Go with it, and definitely, teach. Don't just always, like Nick said, don't just take it all and keep everything to yourself. You got to teach so that you do get some time for yourself and some of that pressure is off of you. And one example that I could give that we were teaching, we actually have a couple of our former employees that are actually now franchise owners themselves. And so that's good to see because it's like, okay, we did something good. We passed some knowledge on so that these people, these young people that grew up with us now have their own businesses and they're running and they're paying it forward to the folks that they're employing. So it's just a cycle that it takes some getting used to, but it can be done. It can be done.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you, but there's somebody watching who is saying, I work all the time. I can speak for me
Yes.
as an entrepreneur, also as a pastor. I'm constantly writing sermons. I'm constantly thinking about devotionals. But at some point, I have to turn it off. So,
Mhm.
Crystal, how do you
Yes.
unplug? How do you get that moment of just nothing going on? I'm just focused on resting. When does that happen for you?
I don't have an answer for that. It might be some wine. I don't know. But
Come on.
you got to find it, especially if it gets to be stressful, because you don't want to get in a situation where stress is bigger than what's actually going on, because that can have some ramifications within itself. You can get sick, and then what? You're stressed out and you're sick and you can't do the job. Then what? So it does go back to teaching or getting an assistant or someone that can help you with even if it's the smaller things, because a lot of smaller things could take up a lot of your time. 10 small things could take up the time of one big thing. So it's about kind of getting somebody you trust, getting people on your team that you can pass some of that on to, or find easier ways to do things. Work smarter, not harder. I mean, it's tons of things that we can incorporate. It's not easy. It's a process for sure.
So Nick, I'm hoping you can give us a little hope, Nick. I'm looking for you to give us some. Is being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur a vow to constant grinding? Is it an initiation into grind culture? Do I have to work extremely hard all the time to make it as an entrepreneur? I need you to tell us what
Well, the first
what
thing you're
is
gonna
it?
have to understand, first thing you have to understand is that you are your product. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
take care of you, there will be no business. So one of the things I learned early on, you have to schedule some time for you. Just like you make a schedule for meetings, you make a schedule for classes, you make a schedule for this, that, and the other. You have to schedule some time for you. And family, family or whatever support unit you have. If there's no time scheduled in, if there's like Thursday, game night, or Sundays, me and my family now, we try to get together, if not every Sunday, and I'll burn up some food on the grill, or we watch a movie, or every other Sunday, there's that time we know that, okay, this is time we're gonna get together. This is time we can breathe. Now, do we still talk business? Not about what we're gonna do business-wise, but things that happen, we bring up, we laugh about, we talk about. And because I am the product, or it's my business, I have to file stuff away. Okay, that was a good idea, or this. So we're, like Crystal said, we're always thinking. You're always thinking, and it's always there, but you have to schedule some time to just unwind and download what you got. Because if you overload, it becomes work. And when it becomes work, I've always told my kids, my family, no, when it starts being work to me, then I'm not going to do it. The only reason I still do what I do is because I enjoy it.
So, Boss Up family, if you're watching, I need you to put this in the comments and repeat it to yourself. I am the product. I am the product. Because if you are empty, you have nothing to give. If
Exactly.
you are not full, there's nothing to pour out. And even more so, one that I'm learning is God can't fix you if you're constantly moving. There has to be a moment when you're sitting down so that God can repair you from all of the infractions, the stressors, and the anxieties that just come with being an entrepreneur. This has been a great conversation. What I love about Boss Up is that when we come to the end, I'm never ready for it to be the end. So I want to give you both a moment, starting with you, Crystal. What is that one thing that you believe every entrepreneur needs to make it in a pandemic and in a season like this? What is that one thing that you can't live without?
Hope. Because you got to know that there's something better on the other side. And you got to look at every obstacle as an opportunity. What is this moment trying to teach me? Because there's always going to be another opportunity waiting for you. It's just up to you to identify it. Try something different that may be needed in this time that you hadn't thought of before. So just have hope that there's always something better on the other side, especially in times like this.
I love it. Hope. What you need is hope, family. Nick, go on and dovetail that, piggyback on that, and tell us what does what does every entrepreneur need to make it in a pandemic?
Well, she hit the home run with hope, because you got to believe that we are coming out of this, and finding a way to survive during this. Staying connected to those sources you had before, because we're not going to the office every day. Maybe you don't cut everybody off, and your employees gone up. No, you stay connected to those people, because you will come out. Finding some time to reboot. This is a perfect time to, the grind ain't as hard now. So this is a perfect time to reboot, reinvent yourself, reinvent your business. What are other ways that I can do this that I'm doing, that might make it better? So because uh, there's God. We're coming back. This is not forever. This is
Right,
not forever.
right.
I love it. Love it. Trouble won't we used to say trouble won't last always.
Hope it don't
And
last
and
Exactly.
always.
and I believe that that's a great mantra for this season that we're in. Listen, Boss Up family, I hope that you've enjoyed our content tonight. I know that I have. I'm actually going to tell our producer and our team, I want y'all to come back because both of you are just phenomenal. So as we close out tonight's show, starting with our lady boss, Crystal, if somebody wants to patronize your business or support you or connect with you, how can they get connected with you today?
On Instagram, I am at bosslady.cj.
I should have known that it was at Boss Lady. I should have known. I don't know why. Already, thank you for sharing that. I pray that our, our viewers connect with you and just get to know the amazing boss, entrepreneur, woman of God that you are. Nick, I got some kids who are on the wrong path and they need something to take their attention away from all the negative in our society and place their attention on their gifts, their talents, and what they can become. How do I reach you? How can I get some kids in your program, Young Voices United?
Just see us at youngvoicesunited.net. There you have all the contact information. Reach out, and we reach out to wherever we're invited. You got a small group of kids at your church that want to learn theater. We're there. You got a drama ministry that's trying to grow their ministry and needs some consultant. We're there. We do a lot of traveling. We have a good group of people who want to help, and it's not about money. It's a ministry to us. So, we make that happen.
Can I just
right,
jump
so
in and say that, yes, Nick is a phenomenal teacher. I have taken one of his classes and loved it, learned a lot. I appreciate you, Nick. You are awesome. So yes, you get a thumbs up from me and a personal recommendation because he's awesome. Wealth of knowledge.
Now,
That means a lot from the boss lady. That means a lot from you. Thank you.
you know that Boss Up is getting good when our guests are able to affirm each other. That's when it's a good episode. So I think it's a good end on that note. This is the Boss Up Show presented by Hope TV. Our pastor is Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr., and we believe that life with God is better in every way and every day. And listen, family, as our senior pastor says all the time, you are good to God. I promise you, God will be good to you. Have a safe weekend. See you next Friday.
Thank you.